Welcome back to my channel. This is Nurse Laconda, and I'm going to do crime nurse series. I'm going to do several nurses on my channel that did crimes, and to just get in the minds of what made these people. I'm not going to even call them a nurse because they don't deserve that title, but just to get in the mind of these people to understand why they did what they did. So the first person that I did, and I heard about her a long time ago, but I never dug deep into it to see like what everything she did. So her name was Beverly Allitt. She started her crime spree in 1991. So I was just doing the research on her, and this lady, when she was a kid, she definitely had signs of Munchausen syndrome. So it was like her parents, she seemed like she came from an okay family, didn't find too much about her mother and father. They said the father worked like in an off-licensed liquor place, and the mother like cleaned hospitals. But she had two other siblings. She had a sister who I think was older than her. She was the middle child, and she had a brother. So I know her mother wanted her to go to this prestigious school in where they lived, and her sister took the test and passed the test, but Beverly took the test and she failed the test. So I guess she started developing issues after that. She probably felt like a failure because her sister passed and she didn't. She probably felt like she let her parents down. But she definitely had middle child syndrome. It seemed like she wasn't getting a lot of attention from her parents, and she was seeking attention. So when she was younger, they said she used to put like bandages on her body. She used to put like cast on her, and at first the kids was like, oh, kind of catering to her, kind of seeing what was going on, kind of feeling sorry for her and giving her attention. But as time went on, I guess even the kids started feeling like she was kind of attention seeking, so they kind of stopped even paying attention to her. So they said when she did that, she started doing things a little worse, like trying to break bones and things like that to get that attention. They said she even was going to different doctors saying she had all these illnesses, and it seemed like the doctors was getting hip to her, so she'll move to another doctor. And then they even, from what I saw, she even had an appendectomy when she didn't even really need one. She came in saying that she had appendicitis, and I don't even think they proved that she had appendicitis, but I guess she was so convincing, they end up, from what I read, taking her appendix out. I'm like, this girl is too much. So so that's when she was younger. So at that time, she had probably an undiagnosis of Munchausen syndrome. So as time went on, she wasn't getting the attention that she sought. So I guess that's how she ended up developing Munchausen by proxy. So she, I guess she got a little obsessed with the medical field since she was doing all this stuff, and she probably was doing a lot of research to see what she can claim she had. So she got a little bit involved with the medical field, so she ended up going to nursing school. So I was trying to look up, like, was she a registered nurse? Was she a licensed practical nurse? This was in the British. They lived in England, so I don't know how they program go. I know that in some articles it says she had 2 years of experience, but I guess she was doing like I don't know if it was like an internship at a facility, and that was the facility they actually hired her on. But during the time of schooling and training, they said she missed so many days, and don't quote me on the number, but I think it was like 160 some days throughout the year, and the year is only 365 days. So they was really reluctant to bring her on because all the days she had missed during training, it was always some type of illness she had where she missed. And so they said forget it. They end up giving her a 6-month like trial or, you know, position just to see how she does. And they were short on the children's ward, so they put her on the children's ward. Yeah, so she missed 165 days of you know, during that year before she got hired as a nurse. That's the research I had. So they gave her the temporary position for 6 months. 6-month contract, temporary position on a children's ward, hoping she will build her skills, she'll become better, she'll follow the more seasoned nurses. So she started in 1991. I think in February of 1991, she started as a nurse on the children's ward. She worked the night shift. Now, I was trying to see, was she the only nurse? Because some articles said that she was the only nurse. They had 2 nurses during the day shift, and she worked nights, and she was the only nurse. And I'm like, why would they put a new person by themselves? But anyway, I don't know how that was going, but she was supposedly the only nurse on nights. I think a lot happened during change of shift too, what I could gather, because I read an article of a nurse that was working with her, and she had a lot to say, and I'll go through that. But I'm only going to talk about the children that actually that's expired. The first child was Liam Taylor, 7 weeks old, came in with chest congestion, and that child passed away February 21st, 1991, and the family didn't suspect any foul play because they just thought, you know, it was like something happened. They didn't know. They just didn't suspect it. And then the second child, which was Timothy Hardwick, he was an 11-year-old. He came in with cerebral palsy. No, I'm sorry. The 11-year-old came in for epileptic seizures. He actually had cerebral palsy. So I guess he would have these epileptic seizures, and that's what he came in for. And he actually died March 1991. The third child was Becky Phillips. She was 2 months old. She came in with some GI issues. She was actually a twin, and she ended up passing away. And they thought that the other twin had the same thing. So they brought the other twin in to get checked out, and she tried it on the other twin but did not succeed. But the other twin has lasting like brain damage from what she did to the other twin. But Becky Phillips, the 2-month-old, ended up passing away. And then the fourth child was Claire Peck. She was 15 months old. She was admitted, and after that child came in and passed away, that's when the doctor was like, nah, it's something definitely going on. And the nurses also, they said the nurses would gather around and be talking. I don't know if this was at change of shift, and they said she would even be in a conversation. They was like, one of the nurses that worked with her, I looked at her article, she was like, I could never believe that this person was doing, we didn't think any of the nurses was doing it. We thought somebody was sneaking in, one of the family members or a random person coming in off the street, sneaking in the building, going in these kids' rooms. That's what they thought at first. They was just they didn't know what was going on. They was just like dumbfounded, but they knew that it was something definitely going on, because one of the nurses was like, you know, they just couldn't believe. It was like, why is all these kids passing away or almost passing away? Because altogether she harmed 11 kids, and 4 passed away. And so the doctor, he was for real. He was just like, no, something is going on. So he went a little deeper and started to investigate. But I just can't believe that they gave this nurse a temporary position, and she did all this stuff. Like, girl, you barely made it up in here. I'm like, what is you doing? So the hardworking parents, they could recount the moments of fear and desperation as their children mysteriously fell gravely ill. The mom of Timothy, she ended up dying less than a year after he passed away from, I think, some type of cancer. And then she was so Beverly Allitt, whatever her name is, she was such a good liar. She had the nurses' food she worked with. She had the parents and family members' food for the kids. She even had the police food at first. They didn't even believe after they got to talking to her. She was good. She knew how to fake it. I guess all them years of playing like something was wrong with her and all that stuff, she really learned how to lie. And I was just thinking, like, where was her parents at? They didn't really talk about her siblings or her parents. I don't know. Maybe they don't want to be seen. I wouldn't want to be seen if that was my family either. But she had everybody food. So this is the killer. The mother of the twin that passed away, she made her the godmother for the living twin that had the brain damage, because she liked her so much. She felt that she tried to save, because she would come out and say, oh, we need help in here, she's not breathing. She would come out and say that. Then other nurses will come running to help her, when all along she's causing the issue. And then she'll go in there and act like she's helping, and she'll comfort the family. And they really liked her. Like, they could not believe that this was the person causing harm. They did not want to believe it. So that doctor went to the police, and first the police was like, kind of blew them off. Was like, maybe, it's just like they're not getting the right teaching, instructions. Maybe they not washing their hands, giving the kids infection. They was just thinking that it was something else. They didn't think it was like foul play. And so, but it's always that one police officer kind of took it like, you know what? It might be something going on. It really might be something going on foul. So he started to really investigate. And that's when they start getting down to the nitty gritty. Okay. And just a short story. I remember, and I didn't really know anything about this story at the time. This is when I became a nurse. I was a new nurse. This was around 2004, maybe 2005. I can't remember exactly when, but it was around the time I became a nurse. And we had a person that worked on our unit at the hospital I worked at, and I'm not going to say the hospital, I'm not going to say the names, but he was not even a nurse. He was a CNA, and he used to walk around. Now, a CNA does not need a stethoscope. They don't. Okay, they're not doing any lung checks and none of that. But he was in nursing school, so he walked around like he was a doctor. A lot of people thought he was like a resident or intern, because that's how he looked like them. He used to wear the scrubs like them, wear a stethoscope like them. So a lot of people would see him. They did not know he was one of the aides on the floor, one of the CNAs. They thought he was an intern, resident, or a nurse. But he walked around with a stethoscope, and all the nurses found that to be odd, because no CNA, I was a CNA as well. I never walked around with a stethoscope, but he walked around with a stethoscope. And this was around the time when I can't remember when they first started to implement the rapid responses. Rapid responses was not a thing. It got implemented probably in 2000s, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me, but it was fairly new. So that's when, we were getting used to doing rapid responses and things like that. Because at first it wasn't rapid response. If somebody is not, we called code on them, and before rapid responses got initiated. So we were noticing that, and we had no proof, but we did bring it to the attention of management, because we were noticing that when he worked, we got a lot of rapid responses, and he would be the first one in there like he was the doctor. So we did bring that to the attention, and they felt he ended up losing his job for multiple reasons, because he was working out his scope of practice was the main thing, but he was doing things, and we all felt it. And I was the first one who really started to pay attention. Then the other nurses started like, yeah, I'm the first one brought it up probably, and because I'm a person that I can feel energies feeling with this guy. I'm telling you, it just didn't feel right. He was very nice. He was cool. Like, he wasn't like, he talk to everybody, he was overly friendly, but this story reminded me of him, and I really feel that he had something like this as well, because I really feel that he was causing problems, because we start to pay attention and we start to notice that. So we brought it to management, and they did look into it, because he ended up not working there anymore. And later on, some years later, he was on the news. He was on the news at Lake Michigan in Chicago for doing something exactly like that, some attention-seeking behavior. I'm not going to say what it is because it's easy to find. But this same person was on the news like 5 years later, maybe 4 years later, for something related to an attention-seeking behavior at Lake Michigan in Chicago. So our gut feeling was right. I know it was. We just could not prove it. But anyway, to get back to this story with this lady, Beverly Allitt. So to resume, so that police officer started investigating. So they end up talking to her, and at first she had them fooled too. She had the police fooled. They took in, they was like, oh, it can't be her. She's such compassionate. I mean, she was laying it on them. She had so much game. I mean, she was running it on them. Nobody believed this lady was doing the stuff she did. Then they started running tests on the blood of the kids, and they found out that those kids had high levels of insulin in the blood. Okay. They start to find out that the kids that they sent out to the other hospital, because they would say, oh, something going on with these kids, we got to send them out. The ones that did live, they sent them out to another hospital that was more skilled, maybe like here, a trauma center or something like that. I'm not sure, but they sent them out to another hospital, and that hospital, the kids to get better and go home. So it just all wasn't making sense. So they end up doing a search warrant for her apartment, and they found, they were looking for the records of one of the kids. I can't remember which one, but this was one of the kids that lived, and they could not find this child records because they wanted to, see about the blood levels, and they trying to match everything up, and they could not find these records. But lo and behold, when they did the warrant, she had the arrest records were in her apartment or in her house, wherever she lived, with syringes. They found all that in there. So, okay, now they're building up the case on her. She can't go back home because this, once this happened, it started spreading like wildfires. The media was on it. They was coming to her house, like the paparazzi taking pictures. They was just harassing her. So she asked to, I hope this don't make a lot of noise in the video, but she asked to her friend, because she stayed with her, because a lot of people still had a lot of faith in her. They was like, yeah, it can't be her, can't be Beverly, Beverly couldn't have did this. So her friend let her live there. I wouldn't let her live with me. You got them type of allegations. You don't play. I got kids. Allegation with a kid, you ain't coming by mine, okay? But anyway, they let her come over there, and she just couldn't stop herself. She just couldn't even stop herself. She done messed with the dog over there. Done gave the dog probably some antidepressant. I can't remember what the medicine was. I don't even know if it even stated, but the medicine was all the way at the top of the shelf. A dog couldn't get up there. Nobody in the house messes with this stuff, but all of a sudden when Beverly come, the dog get into the medicine, and he's convulsing and foaming at the mouth. Take the dog to the vet, and they said, something happened to the dog. Somebody gave this dog this medicine, or this dog took this medicine. Okay, that was one incident. Then a little brother. I think 2 incidents happened with the little brother, but the second one, he ended up going to the hospital, and the same thing high insulin levels. Okay, so the friend knew then. The friend called the police, like, it's her, come get her. So they started having they had enough evidence right now to charge her, and that's what they did. They had a case on her. She ended up going to trial in 1993. Wait, when did she go to trial? I think her trial was like 2 months. And you know, the parents still did not believe it. They thought somebody was framing her. They thought it was somebody else doing this. They would not believe that this lady did this stuff. They still had faith in her to the very end. And all these kids were having cardiac arrest. All of them, okay? So, Lord, it's so crazy. So they found the records in her house. So in May 1993... she went on trial in Nottingham Crown Court. She was charged for 4 counts of murder and 11 counts of attempted murder and 3 counts of causing grievously bodily harm. She pleaded not guilty to all the charges, but overwhelming evidence and witness testimonies, medical records led to her conviction. This trial lasted 2 months, during which the prosecution presented evidence of her deliberate actions to harm these children in her care. In June 1993, the jury found her guilty on all charges, and she was sentenced to 13 life terms. But 13 life terms, I guess, in England is a 40-year sentence. And they said she can't do less than 30 years. And I'm like, for doing all that, that's it? That's it? For all what she did? And she supposedly is in a mental hospital and not even in jail. You know, she's in a mental hospital. This lady really, really did the most. Like, I just can't believe that she fooled everybody. She really did. You know, sometimes people just want to you know, some people just can't fathom somebody doing that. It would have been kind of hard, because I'd have been like, is she really doing this to a kid? But she was mentally ill, undiagnosed, and they suspect that she had like a borderline personality disorder, because she had like a boyfriend, you know, I guess in her teens or early adult life. Because she was young when she went to jail. I think she was only 24. I don't know. She was young. So the boyfriend was saying that she was saying he raped her, he beat her, he did all this stuff. And he said that he got away from her because she would lie and say he did all this stuff to her, try to get him in trouble. Like, oh, she was a mess, okay? So now in the hospital, how did things change from this situation that happened in England in the 1990s up until now? Now is that you have to verify insulin when you get it. You got to go into Pyxis and get this stuff. It's not a key like it was with her. They said she had the key. She was the last one with the key to the insulin refrigerator, and nobody saw the key after that. And she was able to get in the refrigerator. I mean, in the refrigerator was open, okay? She had that key somewhere, okay? Because she wanted to be able to get her stuff. Now, yeah, you might have a refrigerator, but you got to put your information in, fingerprint in to get all medicines, refrigerated stuff. So that's a good thing. You have to scan everything now. But in case of somebody devious like her, again, but things have tightened up and nurses are more attuned to now. I think a nurse now would have caught on to her foolishness, you know, because sometimes them goody two-shoe nurses, some people just overdo it. And then we have those goody two-shoe nurses that suck up to management and want to be the, you know, superhero. And, you know, I'm weary about those nurses because you're doing too much. And why? Why are you doing all that? You know, it's okay to be genuinely concerned and a genuinely comfort people. But when people just over the top, I'm always side-eyeing them. So I don't know if a nurse like this would get away with that now, because I think people would be more attuned to the game. They'll be like, wait a minute, it's only happening when she's here. This is only happening when she's here. So I suspect that it's her. I could hear nurses right now saying that, like, she's doing this. Because why is it only happening when she's here? Okay? So I really don't think that'll be able to happen right now without somebody catching on to that. No, I don't think anybody would be able to get away with that now. And plus, parents, they stay with their kids. Most parents stay with their kids. I know when my child was in the hospital, I stayed, like, I'm not leaving my kid. I'm not leaving my child in no hospital. I'm a nurse, and I didn't think anybody would do anything. I just want to know, because they can't defend themselves. They're not going to ask, what is this you're giving me? What is it? So I'm staying with my kids. If they, and even as they big now, I'm still staying. Okay, I'm still gonna stay. So it will be, hard, but it's just, I just was researching about that. And if you want to, do further research, watch the movie. Charlie Brooks played her in 2005. So watch the movie. It's probably good. But other than that, catch you later. Thank you for watching.
Keep on walking straight.